5 minutes.
Well, thanks, Mr. Chairman, and thanks for our witnesses for being with us today. I'm going to make kind of a general statement. I don't think there's anybody on our panel of witnesses today that doesn't believe that we have to have more power in this country. Is there anybody that doesn't believe that? Because I usually go down the line, and so I'm going to save a little bit of time there. You know, you think go back in time, it hasn't been all that long ago. We didn't have electricity like we have it today. I know my mom growing up on the family farm, she was 15 or 16 before they had electricity. And I look at my district today, I have 86,000 manufacturing jobs. I have the largest farm income producing district in the state of Ohio. And I don't say I need energy, I need affordable energy because I have to be able to compete with all of the businesses that are out there. And I know the chairman's already mentioned it earlier about PJM, you know, predicting the growth right now of 2.4% from 2024 to 2034 every year at 2.4%. So you're going to 24% increase right there what we're going to have. And so it comes down to how we're going to come up with this energy and how we're going to do it because, again, we had a polar vortex in the Midwest in 2014. Every power generation station in the state of Ohio was at peak. We did not have a blackout. We didn't have a brownout. I recently asked PJM if we could sustain that same situation and maybe into 2026. So we're in a critical situation out there. Mr. Clark, if I could start my questions with you, because I tell you, your 4 points that you made in your initial statement, you know, the number 1 was the unanticipated near rapid demand growth. It's the first word, unanticipated. What happened? Why aren't we anticipating this rapid growth that we have to have in this country to make sure that we can sustain that electrical grid that we have to have?
I think for Mr. Chairman and Congressman Latta, for some period of time there's been discussion about the potential for growth. And we've seen electrification of transport, things like that. And so there's some knowledge that something is coming somewhere out there in the future. With the especially data campuses that are now looking to site, that growth is right in front of the faces of the grid planners and the utilities that serve them. Because for those data centers, they're coming to those utilities right now and saying, how fast can you get us online? It's all about speed to market. So what was thought about in kind of a general sense is now absolutely right in front of us in terms of...
Let me follow up with this, because again, in your testimony, you talk about the co-locations with the companies. And one of the questions out there right off the bat is, who do they want to co-locate next to, and what type of a source of energy source is it? Is that source going to be there in a few years down the road, or is it going to disappear?
Mr. Chairman, Congressman, the co-location strategy that has developed here just recently, I mean, within the last year, you're really starting to see crop up, is data centers co-locating with an existing nuclear unit. And so what will happen under those arrangements is the data center and the nuclear unit will strike a PPA, a power purchase agreement, and they'll effectively, a portion of that capacity is taken off of the grid and goes directly towards serving that particular load. In my testimony, I talk about the economic drivers behind that, but both of those parties are making an economically rational choice, but it is going to have some sort of impact on other customers on the grid if you're taking huge chunks of capacity off. And I would urge, especially state regulators who have oversight over retail sales, to consider what that impact is and how the public interest is.
And that's why it's absolutely essential that we're out there making sure that we have that source of power to make out there for the companies. Mr. Dion, if I could turn my questions to you. In your statement, you know, when you're talking about the critical infrastructure that we're going to have, and you say it's the less discussed out there, but it's absolutely essential that we have it. It's one of the things out there. And we're also talking about permitting and how we're going to get to that point. And we talk about 7-10 years to get something moving in this country. Well, you know, what's your forecast for the future? Is it bright, grim, or what do you think?
Mr. Chairman, Congressman, I'm always bright on the United States and our ability to solve issues. I think what you've hit on is a little bit of what you were talking with Commissioner Clark about. I think we've become accustomed, especially in the last 2 decades, we're a little bit of victims of our own success, right? The load has been flat, but that doesn't mean that electricity usage hasn't been growing. It's been growing, and we've been using the system as we should. It's become incredibly efficient. The problem is that we have essentially 2 decades, and people quite frankly, like myself, who started as an ALJ 25 years ago, who's never seen this type of growth. And so we have a situation where we have people who have never seen this type of growth. And when growth has been brought up before, this catastrophic growth, the Internet of Things, a lot of things were going to take a lot of electricity and a lot of things were going to be very bad for the grid. Those things never materialized. The difference, Congressman, today, though, is this is a step change. And I think we all need to recognize that. And that's the thing that we need to do, is we need to begin working, starting with our local commissions, all the way up through to this committee, to say, don't let the past fool you. There is a step change, and we do need to be making these infrastructure investments, and we need to get these things sited and permitted quickly. We do not have the time that we used to have, even though we did a really good job.
Thank you. My time's expired, Mr. Chairman, and I yield back.